Well, I've spent all week catching up with the newest HBO series, Big Little Lies.
Here we go. Oh, this is a conversation I've been wanting to have for weeks now. Okay.
Oh, yeah?
I've been watching it. Don't you worry about that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know. You're well, David E. Kelly is the writer, and Jean-Marc Vallée is the director of all the episodes I've seen so far, which I guess there's been 5, so I'll watch 6 tonight. But I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It did take me 1 episode to really decide I was into it, but
right. Oh, it took me 2 or 3 actually. So don't feel bad.
Yeah. But I am definitely into it, and I'm getting that feeling now of like when I'm watching these episodes of these shows when they're really good, time seems to like lengthen out or something. It's really weird. There's a certain feeling that you get when you're really into a episodic TV series, it's a movie. It does have a crime element in it, in that it's a story of a murder that takes place in this very affluent California community, and one of the most fascinating things about it is that we don't know who's murdered yet. Even 5 episodes in. So that's a good way to take this, I think. But great performances, of course. I mean, what a cast, Reese Witherspoon as this sort of aimless stay-at-home mother that's looking for something to do, looking for trouble to get into, or looking for some kind of direction in her life. Her kids are kind of, she has one younger kid at 10 and one at 16, and the 16-year-old's kind of drifting out of her life. So she's kind of getting a little panicky. Let's see, Nicole Kidman is another stay-at-home mother that is married to, in a very volatile relationship with Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh, God. My God.
Incredibly frightening. He's terrifying in the show. You never know when he's going to snap. And it's all like all of this rage is mixed up with their sex life. So it's become sort of like, it feels like it's sort of part of how they decide to do it, I
like that part of the show.
Yeah. That was nice. Laura Dern is yet another stay-at-home mother that she's actually more involved in she has more of a life outside of her parenting. Although you would not know that, though. You would not know that in the way that she's reacting to some of the stuff that happens in this show. But she's kind of she's the scariest harpy of the bunch, I would say. Yeah. And then there's little innocent Shailene Woodley who's in there. I can't even figure out what she does for a living, though. That's really...
I don't know. She has a business. I just don't know what... She's an accountant or a bookkeeper or something, or she was...
Oh, she's a bookkeeper. That's right. She's like a freelance bookkeeper. That's right. Or something.
So she's not innocent. She's got some... There's some dark secret with her, man.
That's true. I mean, well, what makes her like... She's like... one of these is not like the other. She definitely comes from a working class background, so she's the odd person out. But Reese Witherspoon brings her under her wing. So so she comes into that group, and then there's Zoe Kravitz who's in there. The men sort of flail in the background in a way. But,
well, then you got Adam Scott, who's
is he the bearded guy, the Reese Witherspoon?
Yeah. So is Adam Scott, who's either very funny in like a very sarcastic way, or he plays these men that are so, for lack of a better word, whipped. I mean, he is.
Yeah, he's the guy that you go to when you want a completely non-threatening male, like a very domesticated male.
Yeah, he's definitely playing that part. I mean, he is either he plays that or he plays the very sarcastic guy. But here he is just now. I mean, I think he's just typecast into I'm going to play the non-threatening guy.
Which if you were Adam Scott and you had a chance to be in a miniseries with all this talent,
God, yeah.
Under the lens of a really, really good director, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a good series. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you go from this, and then at 10 o'clock, you go to Girls. It's uphill and then completely downhill at 10 o'clock every Sunday night.
I've given up on Girls. I haven't watched that show.
You're a smart man. I watch it. If you ever want to hear a half hour of pure ranting and yelling at someone watching a show, you guys should just listen to this house. I'm hoarse. I can't speak anymore after like the first 10 minutes because I'm just yelling at the screen constantly.
I won't subject myself to that torture. But
you're a smart man. You're a smart man. And the neighbors would probably wish that you would tell the same to me. But
I like Lena Dunham, but I just don't like that show. I wish she'd go back to making movies. But
let's go back to Nicole Kidman and gang.
Yeah. I mean, everybody is terrific on this show. I really love Reese Witherspoon in particular. I love those scenes with Nicole Kidman and her counselor. Are fantastic. Some of the best scenes in the show. And I'm really surprised, too, that I usually find kids in shows to be a little irritating, and I'm also not totally into shows about, people who are obsessed with the parenting of their kids, but this actually gets to the bottom of things, I think, in a way that other shows may not. And I would also put into that, like, maybe This Is Us as a show that continues to do well in that regard.
Right.
But
I've seen one episode of Big Little Lies. So, and I liked it a lot. I'm anxious to see the rest of it. But let me ask you this question, which is one of the main critiques of it. And maybe in your answer you can tell me what you really like about it. That it's just a star-studded version of Desperate Housewives.
Well, I never really watched Desperate Housewives, so that could be true.
But you know what I'm talking about. You know what that is. It's like
it's like a backstabby bitches. Maybe.
Let me go two decades farther back. It's Jackie Collins. I mean, we're in Jackie Collins territory, but much more sophisticated characters. But we are in Jackie Collins territory. I mean, Hollywood
with better dialogue and stuff.
But let's not be around. It does remind.
Yeah, but why I'm asking that question? Let me tell you why I'm asking that question. Because when I've read these comments about it, here you have a mini series, which essentially is it's a limited series, devoted to female characters. Top to bottom, you guys have already said it. And when I read comments like it's a souped-up version of Desperate Housewives and stuff, it feels like a way to denigrate
to dismiss
them making a show all about women. Like, why would you make a show about all women unless it was a fucking soap opera?
That's exactly how I feel about it. That's what that comment is there for. So I mean, that's coming from people who wouldn't watch a show about all women, no matter what you did.
Yeah, I mean,
even if they were fighting each other in robot suits.
The writing is so much better though than obviously Jackie Collins or Desperate Housewives. I think that's what you can. We're all in one sense you're telling the same story, but it's how you tell the story.
Yeah.
And here the story is told. magnificently, very well done. Great production standards, great writing, great acting. Let's not forget that. That's something that, I know people like Desperate Housewives. Hell, I even watched the first 2 seasons of it.
But it doesn't have that sort of arch comedic quality. I mean, it doesn't mean that there isn't funny stuff in the show, but it doesn't have that sort of, that kind of, hey, ain't this funny sort of thing going on.
It's sophisticated. Let's be very honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very honest when I say that.
Just the episode that I saw. I mean, the editing alone was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And there were kind of bookends on a cliff that I thought the editing was sensational, and the integration of music and
I agree on that.
The music is very good. The way the music is,
It feels like Jean-Marc Vallée after Wild in particular has sort of stumbled onto kind of a style of his own. I feel. I mean, he's got a way of using music and sound and editing that's quite different from most other directors. So I mean,
the other thing that I noticed was that he lets scenes play because there's a scene between Nicole Kidman and her therapist where she's trying to get Nicole Kidman to admit that she fears for her life from her husband.
Great,
which is a great scene that's allowed to play. Yeah, it's intercut with other stories, but that one scene is like a big focus of that episode.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very, very long scene when you start paying attention to it. But it's really a good show. I would recommend it highly to people.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
Let me say this because this is on the same topic. I mean, we talked about Feud last week, so we won't talk about it very much longer. But today, watching last week's episode, I really loved the way that they incorporated moments from Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and they gave it extra significance. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of last week's episode, where Joan Crawford is dying on the beach and talking to Bette Davis, they used the same dialogue as the scene in the movie, and yet it has extra meaning, where Joan Crawford's explaining, no, I did this to myself, and you weren't to blame. And Bette Davis says, you mean all this time we could have been friends? And then you see Joan Crawford crying on the beach, and I loved how they did that, and they kind of reimagined it to relate to the two actresses in it. And then I saw the movie again, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, last week. I watched it for the 100th time because it was on TCM, and that's quite a good movie. I mean, I know that they wanted it. I know that they wanted it to be a B movie, and it has a lot of great elements of B movies. But it's really, in some way, it's a wonderful movie. And it's
I like it.
Well, it's really well produced. I mean, it
very
looks
much
beautiful. First of all, like the sets, the costumes, the photography, all that stuff works. The makeup, on a craft level, it's top notch. And it's only their rivalry that kind of places it into B movie territory in some ways, but it's still it's like an A-list B movie. I mean, what are you going to say? It's the studio's slumming a little bit, I think, but still unable to forego their sense of quality, I think. At least the sense of quality they had at that time.
Yeah, but there's also another parallel between Feud and Big Little Lies, is that now there's stuff in the press about how much Reese Witherspoon resents Nicole Kidman for not promoting Big Little Lies. And I probably would not think about it unless I'd been watching Feud. That is this an example of like the press trying to drum up, bitches be fighting?
There is that.